I wanted to watch this video here from our friend Mike at Preach Gaming, who just had a birthday over the weekend. Yes, on Friday it was Mike's birthday, so in case you missed it, you should definitely go over there and wish Mike a happy belated birthday. I sent a little video message that I think he enjoyed. Okay, so here we go. Here we go.
Look at this.
So, I should put up a warning because this will be Stormblood spoilers.
You guys are incredible. Absolutely
Wait,
incredible.
what? Where is he?
I cannot imagine what this expansion holds for us.
10 quests later.
No. No! No! Why? You Square Enix, why?
Wait, what? I don't remember what happened here. I can't figure out what's happening. Well, you got me hooked. I now need to know what's happening.
We have arrived! We are here in Stormblood. We're a couple of days in. And as I mentioned in our last video, one of the most intriguing things for me is seeing how the developers tried to improve. Tried to take what they had done before, which was, I mean, this is a difficult act to follow. Heavensward is literally, as the meme goes, a critically acclaimed second best RPG story I've ever played.
It's so good.
Version of Final Fantasy XIV ever. So how do you go one better? And interestingly enough, I did spot a lot of people saying, I don't really like Stormblood. I don't really, Shadowbringers, yes, Stormblood.
Everybody says that about Stormblood.
I was aware that this general feeling existed in some of the community, while other people were saying, I really enjoyed Stormblood. But as always, we are going to make our own opinion. We want to take it as fresh as we can do and see what comes from it.
Okay.
And so, going into Stormblood, there was a lot that happened at the ends of Heavensward. We had a mega weapon crashing into the sea, along with the giant primal from Ilberd. And we've broken through the wall, and we've inadvertently started a war with Gridania. With the Garleans. And
I was like, wait, what? That's a plot twist. Actually, this scene, now seeing Omega and Shinryu fighting, it has a lot more meaning now. I won't say anything more than that, but it's more compelling now. We
are here to deal with the repercussions of this situation. So it was a good cliffhanger at the end of Heavensward. It didn't set as many of the loose threads that A Realm Reborn had. So I think they learned from that. It's like, we don't need to have 40 threads going into the new expansion, because Heavensward doesn't even resolve some of them until the very, very end of the game. And you've no doubt when this concept was current, people were losing their minds saying, what the hell is happening with Urianger? What is going on with Ida and Papalimo? Where are they? It is now so long into the game, and we still haven't seen this. They're clearly not dead. So where is Minfilia? What has happened with Ishtola and Thancred and all those guys? And you don't really find out until you're quite a ways into Heavensward.
This is the end of Heavensward.
So this time around, they kind of started resolving things much, much quicker. I still don't know where Omega Weapon and such is. But,
oh my god, it was Urianger the whole time? Oh my god, it was Urianger!
Started to really pick up the story, almost as if it was a smooth transition, as if you finished one quest and went straight into the continuation of that. And obviously the first thing they need to do is set the scene. Now, coming from Heavensward, one of the slight criticisms I had of Heavensward was that they took a good 40% of the main story quest to set up the chessboard, to place those pieces on the board, and I was kind of really curious. One, it was the feedback. One was like, do they want to leave as many loose threads? Obviously, no, they don't. Will they leave some unresolved issues till way later? Maybe, but not as many as they did before. And 3, how long are they really going to take in this expansion to get the pieces on the board, to set up what ultimately for the climax of whatever this story is, and to get all the characters in play? Not long at all, at least from what I can see so far. So again, another development cycle. They took the feedback from players who were obviously very anxious to find out what had happened at the end of Realm Reborn going to Heavensward. And this time around, they very quickly get the pieces on the board and then get you into the action.
I think that it's a fair critique of Heavensward, and looking back on Stormblood, that is something that they improved upon since Heavensward. And I feel like with Shadowbringers, there was like, I don't remember there being any like slow period where they were like, you know, putting the proverbial pieces on the chessboard. Like with Shadowbringers, it's like once you start it, it really launches you first into the action. Like it's quite jarring even. And that's something that I think Shadowbringers did really well. Like it starts with such a high momentum and then it keeps going throughout the whole thing. Though there were some patch quests that happened after the main Shadowbringers journey that were like creating more setup. Like in between 5.0 and 5.3, there was just like some, you know, getting those pieces on the board again. So maybe that just speaks to the end of Stormblood, setting up everything for Shadowbringers. And with Endwalker, I would say there was probably about 20% of the main story was setting up stuff, which was like a little bit slow in the beginning, but well worth it once everything is ready for the payoff.
They want to get you going right off the bat.
That was one thing I think Stormblood did really well, is it immediately helps you sympathize with the common folk of Alamigo, like right away. I remember clearly getting to some of these smaller villages like Alagana and talking to the people there, and you just see how deep their despair is and how little hope they have that anything is going to change, that it is worth anything more for them to join this revolution when they have nothing left to give. They're tired.
Who want that citizenship and the privileges that come with being part of the Imperial Empire. And they have forsaken their own kin, for sure. Kinslayers is what they're known as.
You're no kin of mine.
And they're quite happy to use that gifted power that the Garleans have got them in order to tread on their common man. I like this. I think this is a pretty cool story. It's a good basic setting. It's not cliche. It's been done before, but it's a good setting to set up a good story. To see where this goes and how the revolution should come about. Now, one of the biggest changes that they had coming from Heavensward was a character I didn't particularly like, which was Ida, who then turns out to be Lys.
What?
And I don't particularly like Lys either, because why would I?
Didn't like...
She's been lying to us for a long time.
You didn't like Ida? Ida's so cool. What? Oh, man. This is the first person I heard of not liking Ida. She's so cool. She's like kind of... I found her to be very relatable. Okay? Like, for me, Ida was one of the most relatable characters in the story. Because half the time she doesn't know where she is, why she's doing what she's doing. She's like easily distracted, but she's got a good heart. She's got like she's ready to fight, and I like that about her too. She's so charming.
Time, and Lord knows Final Fantasy XIV does play with our emotions considerably, and so I have no positive feelings towards Lys whatsoever. She's an untrustworthy character, and I'm still rebuilding trust with several of the Scions, including Urianger, who's also been lying to us.
Honestly, I completely agree with him, though, on this. Because as much as I love Ida, this was a point in the story that did not sit well with me at all. I really, really did not like this whole scene that he's showing, where we find out about the identity of Lys and... the real identity of Ida, and like everybody else knew, but she didn't tell you, and it was like, why are you out of the loop? Like, I thought we were friends. I can't trust you. Like, you're not going to tell me this basic thing about yourself. And like, we were out here, you know, fighting together day to day. Like, I thought we were family, and yet, like, it was really, it was tough to feel like I could trust this person, like I knew who this person was, especially when her personality did a complete change as well, and I couldn't see much of the old character in this new character either. It was like, for me, this was one of the worst moments of this story.
For good cause, but still was deceptive. And with a lot of the early game of Stormblood is trying to almost give flavor and fulfill this. Essentially, she's a new character, because she's been pretending to be Ida for so goddamn long that she's a new character now. So this character needs some building, and it's questionable. It's questionable because she's making a lot of mistakes. She doesn't come from this area. She was born here, but she's been gone for such a long time that she comes back with her own values, her own moral compass, her own feelings, and her own way of responding to situations that she's learned over in Eorzea that's not quite gonna play out here. And that's a very stark lesson that is given to her early on as she goes in. It's like, well, what do you mean there are oppressors here? Well, let's beat the shit out of them then. Let's kick some ass. And people are like, we really can't. They've taken everything from us.
Yeah.
And you don't understand that if we fight this small skirmish, yeah, we might win, but they're going to come back with Magitech tanks, and they're going to kill everybody.
Yeah.
And they're going to take our children, they're going to rape our women, and they'll murder all the youth, and they'll just destroy us, because that's what they do.
Honestly, I think this was one of the more interesting parts wherever she does sort of have this culture shock with her tendencies as a Scion to want to just fight and immediately solve every problem, being confronted with the stark reality of what life is really like for the people that have been, beat down by the Garleans for generations. I do think that Lise may have been a stronger character if we had seen more of this, what he's talking about right now, actually, more of her failing to integrate with her new role, having lots of setbacks and issues with like adjusting into this new identity, her true identity. I think that if we had seen more of that, more of her failing, and like, I don't know to sound like really harsh, but seeing her actually get like dropped down a peg and see all of that hardship and like her coming to terms with everything that she left behind, that might have made more interesting story for Lise. I often hear people like defend Lise as a character and say, oh, well, she's actually been through so much and she is struggling with so much, but it's just not shown on the screen. And I think that's fair. I think that's true. And I think that should have been in game.
In terms of the S tier team, which would be Ishtola, Kryl, Alisei. Alfie would be there. Many people are mixed on Alfie, but he's a great negotiator. He's a good diplomat. He does what he needs to do. But that's kind of it for me. That's kind of my S tier for the Scions, with Ishtola and Alisei leading the charge there as wonderful characters that I would happily, whenever I get assigned to doing a mission with those two, I'm like, that's great.
Yeah.
We're going to see Matoya with these guys. Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's go. The same with Kryl. Absolutely wonderful. I don't care particularly. I know people hate me for this, but I don't know why, because he's really done nothing worthwhile. I don't particularly like Thancred. I don't particularly like Oriange right now. And we always laugh while we're playing through this. It's like, is the redemption arc coming?
I think he's going to warm up to Thancred later.
At least, Lisa's story is still developing. That's a whole fresh character as far as I'm concerned. And they have a lot of work to do. And they're also trying to teach her lessons as well. So her character's developing as we're learning about her character. So there very much might be something there. What I do enjoy, though, is the setting. My favourite zone so far, of course, Kugane. Been to Kugane now. That is one of the best cities I've ever seen in an MMO.
What?
Absolutely.
He loves Kugane.
A lot to learn there, though. A lot of. I like the idea that it's this trading outpost. It's the only one that's working. It's the only one that accepts foreign visitors. As such, it is full of all different kind of races and creeds.
Oh my God! What?
Why, that's 12 a talking fish.
What? How did he get this?
They're all working together. There's the racism is obviously there, which you would expect with so many different races that some are considered useful, some are considered not, and blah.
Where did he? Never mind.
Blah blah blah. But they're still throwing in a lot of stuff like they did in Heaven's Ward.
Did he do the tower?
The Confederacy and how they're dealing with the Ruby Sea. And getting across there, and who can traverse this, and you've got to be good in Kugane, otherwise you're going to get attacked, and there's a lot to pick up. But the setting is gorgeous. I've just travelled to a brand new zone, which has a Jenga tower that reaches up into the sky like some sort of Minecraft tower, and that's where I'm up to. So you guys know where I'm up to, that is it. In terms of mechanics then.
The tower, though.
Okay, so this...
The jumping puzzle, he did? Did he actually finish it?
One thing I've noticed very quickly is that Kugane is just a square. It's very, very simply laid out. I was overwhelmed at first because it's so graphically beautiful, but then you look at it and it's just a square. It's very simple. And then they have literally a tour through the town. It's like, and they do tours in the previous ones, but not quite as in depth as this, where they're like, this is here. This is here. This is the markets. This is where you're going to need to go for most of the
They
quests.
have to do that.
This is where you're going to need
They
to do
have
this.
to do that.
And they did the same with Ralga's Reach.
If they don't do the quest where they show you where stuff is, people are going to get lost. They're not going to be able to find the market board. They're not going to be able to find the inn. They're just going to be lost. Like, they'd probably never leave the Aetheryte if they didn't have this quest. Let them know.
There's a back end entrance to here. There's also this camp over here. This is where we do this. This is where we do that. And it kind of had you circling around a bit. I was like, okay. Let's see if that continues, is what I'd say for now. Let's see if that continues. I want to talk about the first dungeon, because Siren Song blew me away. Not only was it in the middle of a boat ride, which I absolutely was not expecting, and I still haven't seen my first primal yet, but good God, did they do such a good job with environmental stuff.
It's such a good dungeon.
This shows that development, this learning aspects of Square Enix.
He said he hasn't done his first primal yet. Oh, but the primals of Stormblood are so good. They are so good. I can't wait to see what he thinks about them all. Like, there's not a weak one in the whole expansion.
Coming from their previous expansions, because one criticism I would have of some of the Heavensward dungeons is that they went all out in some of them for environment. And they created some massive dungeons with not a lot to do in them. In fact, they made some chasms and caves so huge that they kind of had to have some really lengthy trash sections just to get you through it. Because what they built was so grand in scale and so wondrous to behold, yeah, that's not really conducive to a Final Fantasy XIV style dungeon. And what you ended up with was some
sweet summer charm.
lengthy, like, okay.
Oh, I could... Such amazing dungeons are in store for you. More grand in scale than you could possibly dream of right now. You don't even know. Like, Endwalker dungeons are the best dungeons this game ever got. It has in it... Okay, I'm going to shut up about Endwalker dungeons. We're talking about Stormblood. But I'm just saying that they have mastered the art of creating a vast, spectacular, grand space without putting a lot of pointless trash in it. Like, it's a normal amount of trash.
And I know that if I was playing the game currently and I had to redo some of these dungeons, I would start to get a little bit annoyed. I'd try the Crusader vibes for you. Like, the first time in, wow. But you can already feel this is going to be annoying.
Never reap.
So coming into Siren Song, they really flipped the switch on this.
Who
now,
was there?
One of the dungeons, and this, of course, my opinion may develop and change. But one thing I noticed is...
Who was there for Never Reap?
They totally gave up on trying to create subtle environmental changes inside the dungeons. They made it much shorter, very concise dungeon. Thumbs up. Want to get in there, want to have fun, don't want to be there in all day unless it's something expansive and really cool. You might figure out my favorite Scion is Tola. One of the most useful, and that's something that I value immensely in my video games. If we're going to have these companions along for the ride, I don't like being the master of all. Like, I'm the weapon, I'm the sword, that's fine. I'm the warrior of light and I kill everything. But if I'm going to be part of a team like the Scions, useless Scions get on my nerves massively. It's one of the reasons I really did not enjoy Ida particularly, and same with Lise right now, who's not proving herself to be particularly useful. But
she can punch things good. She's a monk, so that's really useful.
Somebody who could have very, very easily gone over the line of being ridiculous, but they did what they did with Ravana, actually, and I had the same commentary about Ravana, is they just held back enough, and this is Xanos, the leader, the imperial leader of the area.
Xenos.
Who is... I don't know what his story is. He's getting power from some...
Xenos is like, yes, that's me. Great character. Thank you, Xenos, for your input. We know you. We know. You're a good character after all. After all, you ended up being a pretty good character.
Somewhere. There's something going on there. He's got an Scions shoved up his ass or something. But he's a beast. He's a beastly old character.
Wait, what?
Bored as that line.
Wait, what did he
What
say?
his story is. He's getting power from somewhere. There's something going on there. He's got an Scions shoved up his ass or something. But he's a beast.
He's juicy.
He's a beastly old character, and he borders that line on being really comically cheesy evil to actually being kind of cool at the same time. And I like that character. I love the voice acting that comes with that character. He's menacing without being campy, which is not easy to pull off when you're really towing that line of him being
The voice actor is
ridiculous.
so good.
I mean, this is a guy who carries a golf club holder. I don't know what they're called. that literally spins and rotates his swords. So it's really close to being like, this guy's kind of lame. But it's not. He pulls off really cool. And
He's
they have
cool.
a nice one-on-one with him.
All right.
But so
cool.
far, one thing that is great is how quickly they're throwing you into major story developments. Not only killing off characters in terms of Methrid, which was like, okay, we just met this guy, but we did some stuff with him. He taught us some valuable lessons. And we have met him before.
Yeah.
He's a Realm Reborn character. Again, that good use of characters you've met before. They recognize you. You're the Warrior of Light. People are obviously aware of you. And then the seemingly death of Vishtola, which I genuinely was extremely pissed off about. Which is hard for me, especially I've come under a lot of shit recently about not enjoying the Sylvanas story in World of Warcraft because we predicted it the day the tree burned down. It's like they're going to find some way to diminish this, and it's probably she was influenced or blah 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 blah. And people are like, no, it's a soul split and stuff. And
Oh my god, I can't even watch this
It
cutscenes.
seemed very obvious and predictable.
It's
that they
too
would do
painful.
something similar to that. Whereas now,
Oh my god.
coming over here,
Please.
this character seemingly was
Please
killed,
stop.
and I was
Please don't make me watch this. Please. All right.
genuinely like furious. One, because she dies in protection of Lys, which I'm like, really? We're not doing this. This is not happening. Much to the chagrin of our live viewers, who
Oh,
were
man.
hilariously laughing at me and you know, F, she's dead.
It will not save you.
F.
Oh, don't you
F for
fucking dare.
Stola. That was a good
Don't
character.
you fucking dare. Fuck you, game. Oh, fuck you.
Oh, he's.
For Lys?
That's what he's really. That's what he's really pissed about. His first words is actually for Lys. I didn't expect that. I need a better person to protect, right?
She's got to come back. She's got to be fine. And like, nope. Copium, and she's dead.
Dead.
And I'm although it's
She's super
like,
dead,
make a
dead.
silly intro for the video. It's like genuinely, I felt that way. I genuinely felt that way. And then it really realized like I'm attached to this character. Like I like this character. I like when that character is around, and they're not afraid to kill off characters, as we well know.
She is
They're
a
not
cat,
afraid to do it,
however.
which I'm always still under the guise that in a lot of games is that they're afraid to kill off characters because they're potential money in the future. Merchandise is a very real thing, and if people like those characters, a lot of companies are very, very terrified, much as they are in television world, of killing those characters off. Is one of the great things about Game of Thrones is they weren't afraid to kill off characters that the audience knew and loved, and to have this happen at this moment, which I know is fine now. I'm over it. I've relaxed. But it is one of those moments. And that's been my first sort of 15 hours into Stormblood, I think. We're about 15 hours. No primal to be seen yet, but already grabbed and interested. A lot of pacing changes. A lot of
There's a point he made about character deaths in Stormblood. I can't comment on that at this time.
mental changes, a lot of mechanical changes, and I'm really wondering how they develop it over time, because as we did look at the Alliance rating, they're very good to respond to what the players are liking and disliking and then alter it accordingly as the expansion goes on. So that's where we're up to, guys, and stay tuned for much, much more. Thank you very much for listening. Bye-bye.
Well, that was such an enjoyable watch because there was so many little specific things that he talked about that I completely forgot about because it's been a long time since I played Stormblood. Like, how long ago did Stormblood come out? I don't know, a couple of years ago. And one thing I can say is after finishing the story completely, finishing Endwalker's story, I heard someone say that Endwalker made every other expansion better. And that is the most true thing you can say about Endwalker's story. Because now, like, looking back at all these cutscenes, they all have so much more context to them now. Like, I understand characters better. I understand motivations better. Even Omega, like, that's more compelling. That scene with Omega and Shinryu that seemed, like, out of nowhere. So, he mentioned primals, and he mentioned alliance raids. And that is two of the shining stars, best high points of Stormblood. Both of those things of Stormblood are some of the best things this game ever got. The Ivalice raids and every single primal. There is not a single primal from Stormblood that I didn't absolutely love, that didn't have a killer soundtrack, that wasn't fun to do. So I cannot wait to see him get through that. He made some comments about various things like character death. Like I said, I can't comment on that, but we'll just see how his opinion about that evolves over the course of the expansion. And I'm also curious to see how he feels about the general pacing of exploration of zones Alamigo versus Doma, because that's one of the biggest complaints, criticisms against Stormblood, that people tend to say that it's just poorly paced. There's like just not enough time spent to fully flesh out both of these zones, but we'll see what his opinion is. So far, I agree with pretty much everything that he said. I agree with his assessment on everything. And he reminded me of some stuff that I forgot about, which made this such an enjoyable watch. And you should definitely watch it too. I'll put a link in the chat. Here you go. I cannot tell you how much fun I've been having seeing all of these reactions from people who came from WoW as they go through Final Fantasy 14's story, seeing all of their opinions about everything that they meet and all the dungeons and all the raids and all the characters they meet along the way. How fun is this? This is just so great. I'm honestly enjoying it. Like, for years, all I wanted was for this to happen. For years, all I wanted was for some of my favorite content creators that I had known that were doing WoW content to come play Final Fantasy 14 and do exactly what they're doing right now. And it's happening. So for me, it's like all my name days have come at once. Every time there's a new video like this,